All right, a little different format. I did a previous video from the road. Sometimes they work out. This one is all about something new that I haven't done a lot of videos on. I plan to do a couple more just because of the things that you use to get you outside. The backpack, which I do most of my reviews on, is the main thing that I do reviews of. And I've done the EDX from Matador and Carryology, the Go Ruck M22, which is a favorite. Both of them I have with me on the road. Just a lot of backpacks, but I don't talk about some of the things I bring with me all the time. And one thing that I bring with me every time is some sort of action camera. The best camera you could ever have is the one in your pocket, and that happens to be my cell phone. I've used some different video camera equipment things on the go. It just doesn't end up working because the iPhone for me takes phenomenal video, and so I use that most of the time if I'm on the go. But there's times where the iPhone won't cut it, whether it's just too big or the frame rates or the audio or whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's just not robust, something I just want to throw into something. And so for that, I usually bring an action camera. And I've carried GoPros for a long time. I've carried the DJI Action 3 most recently. And I've also used a ton in different places, the Insta360 X3. This video is going to be all about something new, something I think is going to replace most of that. It's right here. It's the Go 3 from Insta360. This is not sponsored. They did not send this to me. I purchased this, of course, with a camo skin on that thing, which you can also do if you order from Insta360. But again, not sponsored. They didn't send this to me. I've got some thoughts about this. And so let's get to the action camera that might be the one to replace everything. It's not perfect, but let's get to it. All right, so like I said, an action camera is really useful in a lot of different ways. The GoPros were on the scene first. I've used this DJI Action 3 a ton as well, mostly because of the magnetic ability to either put it in one mode or the other. It's just super versatile. I just like the form factor. The batteries last a lot longer for me, and also I just have and then the battery charging solution is just a lot better for the DJI Action 3. So that's normally, if I wanted something in this form factor, this is good. Unfortunately, it's just not that simple. But that's not a video about the DJI Action 3, nor is it about the Insta360, which is useful. But the problem is that when I crop it down, it's just not that good of a quality of a video. So I prefer the standalone, the DJI, the GoPro, and then they came out with this thing. Now this, I'm recording both ways on this one. This is really, really cool. And this is the third iteration of this, as it's, the Go 3. I didn't have the previous editions. I thought about it, but I just never did. Now this one is leaps and bounds better than that because of the battery and some other things I'll get to. But the fact that you have this little remote action pod, they call it, is just super cool because I could put this in there. I can mount this in different solutions. So let's dive into some of my favorite things about this camera. And there's some negatives. Let's get to the roundup on the Go 3. Starting off with, what do I love, what do I hate about the Go 3? Again, not sponsored. These are my own thoughts from me using it over the last couple weeks. I took it with me when I climbed Mount Rainier. I took it on a couple hikes out here in California and Hollywood, just to kind of test out how useful it is. It is super cool and super compact. Even, put together, this is the camera body or the action pod with this flip up screen, and then the camera just fits inside. So together they're just very, very versatile, and I just love the way they fit together. Now, the camera on itself can just be mounted about anywhere, and it's magnetic. So all of their attachments that come with it, boom, put this thing anywhere, stick this thing somewhere. You can move this thing all over the place to just get some very unique angles with this camera that you just can't do with the GoPro or really anything else just because of the size. Now, versatility of this is I can stick this thing on this little piece. I got a tripod little setup. I can put it on there. I can mount it to this little pendant thing, magnetic, which is super cool. Put that on your shirt, put it on a jacket. I did that a lot of times when we were in our training day at Mount Rainier because it was just super cool. I could boop, put it there, hands free, and do whatever, and just get the unique perspective. So very, very Awesome. There's this other thing that comes with. You can drop that sucker in there, mount it to your hat. It's just a little clips onto your hat. Now your hand's free. It's on kind of POV of what you're doing from the hat. So, I mean, again, the versatility of this thing is just super cool. Now, the next thing I'll talk about is this, as I break things, this is Action Pod. Now, the Action Pod, as you can look through there, some sort of Twilight Zone, actually looking at what's coming through the camera. So when it's detached, you can use this as a little remote control, change the settings, do whatever you want, and while the camera is situated wherever it happens to be. So that is something you really can't do with any other camera. You can buy some remotes for some of them, but they just don't have the same capability to see what you're doing unless you tie it to your phone. Then you're using your phone. So this thing is just always connected, and it's just awesome. There's a little bit of lag, it's not perfect, but it does what it needs to, which is show you what's coming out of the camera while the camera is set up where it happens to be. So that's just super cool. Now, battery life is a little bit of an issue. 45 minutes with just the thing by itself, 170 minutes combined. So that is positive. It's a lot longer than the previous editions, but it is a negative. When I get to my negatives, we'll talk about that. One final tip on the size, 1.2 ounces. So super lightweight, you're never gonna notice it wherever it happens to be. Magnets, I've already talked on magnets, just stick this thing anywhere. You just stick it wherever you wanted to, and the magnets are super strong. Another big thing about this, and this was mostly a problem with the Insta360 X3 and the X2, is these lenses are not replaceable. So you scratch one of these suckers up, which I did, you've gotta send it all the way back to get replaced. Bummer and expensive. This thing has got a little tiny screw-on filter, which if you were to damage, you could replace, and then of course use ND filters if that's what you want to do. I usually go full bright for my scenery just because that's what I do, and for the action camera that just works out perfectly. Now there's another mode of this called free frame. Now free frame is pretty cool. Now the problem with free frame is it reduces the resolution, and again, I'm not kind of getting into my negatives, but 2.7K is the max resolution you're going to get out of the camera. If you use the free frame, it's a little different at 1440p. So still great quality, and you can go up to 50 frames per second in that mode. And you get to choose the orientation of that later. So that's a really cool feature, except it's 1440p. It really just records the whole thing, lets you frame it 9x16, 16x9, however you want to do it in post-processing. Now, when you take the file right out of the camera and put into your editing software, it's going to look a little different. It's not going to be editable in that format. You're going to have to process it first in the Insta360 software, which is either on your phone or you can do it on your computer. Basically, then you're going to choose the orientation however you want it to and then export it that way, and then you're going to get whatever you want it to. So that's pretty cool. Comparisons to other things, there's the full frame mode on the GoPro is bigger than 4K, 5.7 or 5.3, but either way, when you crop it down to 9x16 or 16x9, it ends up being a full 4K resolution, so that's super cool. Definitely like the fact that on the GoPro in full frame mode, I can pick what I want to do later and get a really good picture. This one, you're just going to be cropped down to 1440, so that's the negative of this, but again, the size sort of makes up for that. So that's the positives. Super versatile, magnetic, go anywhere. Its overall size, even with this thing attached, is smaller than a GoPro. And you can see, of course, this is in a little bit of a cage, but it's definitely smaller than the DJI Action 3. So that is a positive, because when I was climbing up the mountain, I had this thing, and I had it attached to it. Magnetically. This was overall smaller than this. Of course, I could push this in a different orientation, but nonetheless, it was different. And so I just like the size of this. And the quick shot mode on this is very, very good, very, very quick. The DJI is also very quick, and a lot of people love that because it's a lot faster than a GoPro. They're about the same. They're very, very quick to just do quick capture, get some video, and then turn it off, and you're done. So very, very happy with the quick capture mode on this as well, which I didn't originally have as a positive, but it is awesome. That's the positives. I got some big negatives that make this maybe not the right camera for you, if that small aspect of the camera isn't what you're looking for. Number one is what I've already talked about. It's the resolution. So 4K is the standard for what I typically record everything into. Now, 2.7K is still really good and you're going to be able to get some good shots, but the reason I want the higher resolution is if I want to crop down into something, I still want to be able to see what it is. 2.7K just doesn't usually cut it, but I think the versatility of this camera outweighs, potentially, at least for me, that limitation of 2.7K. Now the free frame mode is just 1440 is not going to work long term. I don't think I will work in free frame mode. I think I'll just pick my orientation, what I'm going to use, 2.7K, and go with it. The second negative is you don't have a memory card that you're putting in this thing and removing and downloading the frames to whatever, your computer, your phone, whatever. You're stuck with whatever you buy. Now they sell it in 3 different modes, 32, 64, and 128. I would stick away from the 32, 64 in the middle seems to be the sweet spot for me because I'm not going to go and maybe shoot a long-term video on this thing. I'm going to use it the way it is. And 64 was good for me. 128 still pretty limited, but it's good. Now you can download it quickly to your phone and reset the software, so you're going to be okay. But the fact that you just can't throw in different memory cards like you can with all the other cameras could be a negative to some people. Along with the fact that you don't have a memory card slot, there's no battery that you can remove and swap out. So again, the other action cameras have a slew of batteries. I typically have 3 to 4 batteries for whatever camera it is. So I'm not worried about the power of the camera wherever I happen to be. I can just swap out batteries in and out and I'm good to go no matter what. You're stuck with it. So again, 45 minutes just the camera, 170 with the whole kit and caboodle together. So just got to think about it. Now, it did last a long time if you're doing quick capture, not using the screen a ton, but that's just one thing to think about. So again, super cool. Love this thing, but it does have some negatives, so you just want to be aware of. Yes, so that's it. So that is the Insta360 GO 3, which is a fantastic camera. Love the ability to watch what you're doing from this screen. It just lets you do vlog mode. It helps you keep things in frame, and it's just a great option for anybody who just wants one action camera on the go. To be honest, when I was on the mountain, it was pretty handy to just have this action camera because I didn't have to get out my bigger phone. I had a nice handle on this thing. I knew it was secured with the magnets and I wasn't really worried about it. So action cameras are, for me, a vital accessory that I have with me no matter where I'm going, whether it's just on a trip for work with one of these fantastic backpacks, or really I use them a lot of times in some of my other videos. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. They're not all about tech, although they could be if you want to see more about tech, but I don't plan to do a lot of videos like this. Mostly it's going to be about backpacks. The M22 will be my favorite bag of the year, and we've got some things coming out on the M22 which I'm super stoked to talk about and bring to the channel. But save that for a future video because you're going to like and subscribe, sign up for alerts so you'll be alerted when I put another video out about the M22, whatever it happens to be, from GoRuck. So there you go. We're going to get back outside. We did a ton of outside already today. We're probably going to enjoy the weather in California. It's not as cloudless as I want it to be, but it is a nice day. See you in the next video. The second negative is you don't have Why didn't I bring collapsible water? I don't know. It's so hot they sent out the rescue helicopter. Whew.